Hello, everyone. Welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host, Liam, aka Himvar. And today I'm good. This is Liam's Leapings, I believe, number 39. This is my weekly update, 13th of May, 2023. It's been an interesting week this week. I got a decent amount of reading in. I got a lot of other things, and I kind of got reinvigorated for um, with some of my studies with nonfiction. I wish I had been reinvigorated for my writing, which did not happen this week, but I did do a lot of studying, which was good. And I did write a poem actually. It is an elegy. It's a sonnet, but it's an elegy for the saga of leukemia. That's actually on my Patreon for free. Since it's the saga of leukemia, it's not an IP I own. I don't feel like I could charge anyone for that. I mean, it's, of course, it's a poem I created, but still. So again, there's my Patreon. There are a few things on there for free. I'm trying to get more things on there. I'm thinking I might serialize some of my short stories on there, um, specifically the longer ones like the novelettes. I really like to get some more like published, but having very little luck with some of those stories. Um, that is what it is. So, anyways, this week the first thing I finished was Night of Knives by Ian C. Esselmont. I would like to get to the Bone Hunter soon. I probably will. I'm not 100% sure when I will, but I did enjoy this. Not like the greatest thing ever, but really not bad. I'll have more thoughts at some point. I finished that forever ago, and then I also finished The Circumference of the World by Lavi Tidar. That took forever. I basically had been sitting. I get about 40%. I slowed down a lot, and 40 to 60% I read over like 2 weeks. And then this week I was started at like 60%, and then I read like all of it, like 60 to 100% in like basically one sitting. I really enjoyed it. I don't think it was as good as Central Station, but it was really good. I think some people will probably think it's all over the place because it kind of is. I think it works. Anyways, I've had a bad cough. I was like all congested before, and my cough wasn't really bothering me so much because I was just coughing up stuff kind of. And like it wasn't bothering me at night when I was sleeping. Just kind of maybe it'll bother me a little bit during the day, but not like it wasn't bad. And now it's bothering me at night. Like now when I lay down, like I just can't stop coughing basically. So sleep has been poor the past couple nights. Hopefully it's better tonight. I doubt it will. Um, anyways, that's just an aside. So Circumference of the World, though, so that's the second novel I finished this week. And then the third one, because I've only finished 3 this week, was Beyond the Dark Portal. I've read a lot more, so we'll get into that. But Beyond the Dark Portal by Aaron Rosenberg. I have read one novel by this author before, and it was, oh my goodness, what was it? It was an Eldros Legacy novel. It was like the shortest one. It's kind of a standalone, like in the setting that, which is funny because that setting has now been taken out of Eldros Legacy. So I wonder how that one fits in the wider world of Eldros Legacy, because there was originally like 5 creators, and so they had 5 continents. And I know one of the creators, Rob Howe, like kind of withdrew from that. And his world was older, anyways. He had a few books in that world already. So, anyways, but Aaron Rosenberg, he was a World of Warcraft person, but it's also written by Christy Golden. I've read 2 of her Warcraft novels for this, Lord of the Clans and Rise of the Horde, which are really good. Rise of the Horde was actually really good. And I read her Ravenloft novel before that, and I've had a couple of her other books. I like her as an author. And interestingly enough, she narrates a lot of her Warcraft novels. She is a narrator too. So there's actually not a lot of words per page in this book, but it is like 400 pages or something. So this is fine. It wasn't like the best by any means. It has a lot more stuff in there. Like the first 2 I read by her for World of Warcraft were very much the Horde. This has a lot more like alliance stuff. The Horde isn't nearly as relatable, I feel like, in this book. And that might be Rosenberg. It might be mostly written by Rosenberg and then this like kind of written by Golden, but she's got like enough like essentially inputs to warrant her name on the cover, and that might also sell more copies for the most part as well, because Christy Golden, I believe, is known as the best like World of Warcraft author. Excuse me. But I did also read some of a few books. I did read Beneath the Web by Lynn Abbey. I've been reading so slowly, like basically all my physical books. I've been doing okay with audio and like ebook, but I'm enjoying it. I really am. It's just I read a lot. I'm reading more this semester than I was like last semester. So it's taking up a lot of my time. I've also though been lately when I have been doing more reading, I've been reading other things, and again I'll mention those in a second. I also for this actually is for school, but I'm really enjoying it. So sometimes I don't mention stuff I'm reading for school, but I'm reading Faust, Goethe's Faust. I'm really liking it. I'm a little over halfway through of part one. Of course, I actually only am not. I'm not reading part two for class. So uh, I'm really liking it. It's really fun. Uh, a lot of classics are hit or miss, and this is definitely, especially this translation. Actually, it's by David Luke. The translation is in verse. I think it works really well. I'm enjoying it a lot. And then I also am. This might excite some people. I am in a little over halfway through The Light Fantastic by Terry Pratchett. This is the second Discworld novel, second of the Rincewind books. And I read The Color of Magic probably 2 years ago now. I think it might have been before, more than 2 years ago. I can't remember if I read it in 2020 or 2021. Maybe it was early 2021. So before I started my channel, so I liked it. It was okay. It was a little disjointed, and I liked the references to like classic fantasy stuff that I like to read. This has more like Cohen the Barbarian, and then hear the lamentations of your women type of stuff. It's a lot more cohesive as well. So I haven't really like laughed out loud at any point. I mean, it's kind of funny, quirky, I guess. Like put a smile on my face, but yeah. So, anyways, I am enjoying it though, and maybe this will lead to more. I've always wanted to read more Discworld. I just like after reading um, the first one, I just wasn't like I was like, oh, I want to read more, but I don't know when the heck that'll be. And that happens a lot actually when I read. I was like, oh, I want to read more, and then it's like a few years later, I finally pick up the second book because I wasn't that impressed. I wasn't much pressed to get the next books. And there's a lot of books I want to read, like a lot. So, I guess before I get into that, actually, but I read a little bit, or actually, I read a story, Knife, Lace, and Prayer by T.R. Siebert, some German author, in Old Moon issue 3. As the second story, I believe it was last week, I read Evil Honey, the first story in here. This was actually really fun. It's sword and sorcery, but it's epic, which I think is a good example of how sword and sorcery can be epic as long as it's focused and rather personal. I saw a review that basically called this a dark fantasy. It mentioned sword and sorcery, but it didn't really go on that. It just called it dark fantasy a few times. So half of this is actually is one story. This volume is noticeably bigger than I've read the first 2 volumes already. I like them a lot. It's actually one of the few magazines I read every issue so far, to be completely honest, because I've read like bits and pieces of a lot. But Old Moon is honestly, I actually probably the only magazine with multiple issues that I can say I've read every story. Well, once I finish this, I can say that still. You know what I mean? I mean, there's other ones like New Edge, but it only has one magazine out right now. And I've only read some of like Tales from the Magician's Skull and not all of Whetstone. I should rectify that. So yeah, Old Moon, I could even say it's potentially my favorite magazine. I actually am going to be doing a review of this. To be honest, the publisher asked me to do a review for it. I said I already had a copy, so, but no, yeah, it's fun. There's 2 more stories. The last one's actually by one of the editors, but I've read one of his stories before. I don't know if it's published, but and I really liked it, so I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to the third one as well. Singing the Long Retreat sounds pretty good. So, anyways, I'll have more thoughts on that at a later date. And then I did actually read an article in Journal of English and Germanic Philology journal. I was kind of looking at my backlog actually, and my backlog is right here, also at the Battle of Malden, because I want to read that. So I read one in this one. I don't know if I'll read any of the others. Just don't have the time, and they don't interest me that much. But what do we mean by Anglo-Saxon pre-conquest to the present? By David Wilton. Oh, my screen did something weird there for a second. Anyways, so I thought it was interesting, right? I mean, like it's a kind of a touchy subject, but it does a good job of kind of pointing out the big takeaway besides the racist stuff, the racial stuff, which is kind of popped up in the Romantic period, which is not very surprising, and we know nationalism there. Um, but that the Anglo-Saxons, sorry, it's convenient still. They are the Angles and the Saxons, right? You know what I mean? It's convenient to group them together as Anglo-Saxons. I mean that is, to be completely honest, super convenient. You know what I mean? So they did, if they did call themselves at some point, their general term was English, right? Which is English. So I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. Anglo-Saxon was more of a Latin term. People on the continent referring to them as Anglo-Saxons, and it generally even specifically meant later, right? Just Wessex and Mercia, and like excluded Northumbria and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's a rather nuanced topic. I will not get more into it here, because I'm sure most of you don't care. You should, right? It's what I care about. You should care about it too. No, I'm just joking. Obviously, you don't have to. Um, but I've listened to a lot of stuff this week, as far ranging as I watched The Big Lebowski with my wife. I thought that was awesome. Um, and I read another essay, the name Merovingian and the Dating of Beowulf by Walter Goffart. Goffert. Hope he says Goffert. It's Goffart. Um, but it's interesting because he doesn't philologically dispute Shippey at all. There's a good Shippey essay on the Merovingians and Beowulf, um, because the guy's not a philologist. But he does refute Shippey on the idea of Damnatio Memoriae with the Merovingians and the Carolingians. And then I did some copy editing. Actually, Christopher kind of mentioned it on his channel, and I'm sure there's like no one watching this right now, anyways. And I don't know why would I keep it a secret, but I did some copy editing. It's my first actual copy editing. I've done some kind of edits before, but like this is my first time getting paid as a freelance copy editor, and I did some of Christopher Rocchio's stories actually. So, which was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was exciting as well. So, this week, oh, I did also read some of this as well. I guess I can mention it because it's right here. The Northern Crusades by Eric Christensen. Power Christensen. It's okay. I mean, I'm interested. It's just not like as engaging as, for example, as this book right here, Britain After Rome by Robin Fleming. This book is really good, actually. I'm kind of don't want to finish my chapter in this right now, and because look, I'm in the middle of a chapter at the bottom, and read another chapter in this. But I've also been doing like little practice, getting back in a little bit into the philology, like actual like of it, which is why I have the Battle of Malden here too, and doing some like Old English translations and stuff. If anyone wants to do that together, I mean, actually, I'm really busy, but I mean, if anyone wants some help is nice. I need to memorize my paradigms better. I did most of my Anglo-Saxon or Old English stuff like 2.5 years ago. It's been a minute. So my paradigms are a little weak because they weren't that strong to begin with. So I'm doing some translation work. I'm actually probably gonna do more right after I'm done with this. And I'm going through some lectures as well that I have access to. So yeah, I have a story. I have a story coming out Monday in Half Human Heroes, edited by Jeremy Fee. It's a booktube anthology. I hope you all enjoy that. I have a review coming out for that on Monday. There is a Half Human Heroes book tag I might also be doing, and that might come out Wednesday. I kind of wanted to have another video just talking about the thing, but I don't know what else I would talk about outside of what I already talked about. So maybe I'll talk with someone else at some point about that anthology. I'd like to get it done in an audiobook. They kind of mentioned that before. I need to go back and look at my email, but that is largely what I've done. I also looked at I watched I watched a lecture on Bonaventure. That's how the guy's saying it. Bonaventura. I don't know. He's Italian, I think, 13th century, I believe, philosopher, theologian. And then I also watched something on the Welsh gods or whatever, finding Welsh gods. I can't remember. Is it like Professor Hutton? I don't remember. Shows how much I'm paying attention. But no, it was interesting. I do remember some things from it. I just don't remember who gave the lecture. Yeah, so lots of stuff. I'm feeling like I'm channeling something here. No, anyways, I like learning. I really do. And I like reading too. It's useful. Oh, look, and here's my old English stuff. That's one of my journals. There's another one that actually has similar stuff in it too. That's my philology notebook. It's almost full. So, anyways, what have y'all been doing this week? What do y'all got planned this next week? I did do a conversation with Raph that came out on Wednesday as well, so that was really fun. And then, yeah, I always feel like so flippy floppy because sometimes I look at something and I'm like, yeah, you're totally wrong. And other times I look and I'm like, you're totally right. And I'm just like, why do I? It's like, why I feel like all humans are this way. I just don't know if they're willing to admit that. Maybe I'm just weirdo. But anyways, yeah, we'll see what I get done. I guess the rest of this night. But I will catch y'all next time. Sorry for keeping you.